Hello, and welcome to or the Gateway to Understanding Everything, Episode 7, Why You Keep Forgetting and How to Return. This episode was not originally planned, but because of feedback and because of working through the first 6 episodes, it made sense to do this final episode. If you are here, you've walked through all 6 previous episodes. You understand or thinking. You have developed and thinking. You can read reality. You recognize non-separation. You have the practices. And yet, you probably noticed something. It's hard. Even when you know and, you default to or. Even when you understand integration, you still fragment. And even when you recognize unity, you feel separate. Why? Well, today I'm going to show you what's happening inside. Why your literal mind keeps hijacking. And why you can't stop seeking the closure. And why the practice is sometimes challenging. And how to work with your system instead of fighting against it. This is the missing piece, the internal dimension. Let's begin. So we're going to introduce this model. Basically, you have 3 parts. Now, this is a thought experiment, okay? I want to introduce it as a thought experiment, but I want you to hold this and work with me on this because you have to choose to go through it. But it's important. So the first part is a literal part. This literal part needs closure. It needs completion. It wants answers. And it operates in this way. Query, solve, complete. The way it drives? Well, it's a relentless drive seeking to close loops. Nice, closed loops. And it gets anxious when the questions remain open. Now, there's also a functional part. This part needs an understanding of the process, seeing how things work. It operates, query, understand, apply. This bridges the literal and the metaphorical, and it connects to the parts as a whole. So our third part is the metaphorical. This needs meaning, depth, and revelation. It operates, query, reveal, continue. It never finishes. There's always more to discover. This is when people are comfortable with mystery. Well, this is where the tension and the friction is. The literal part wants closure. The metaphorical part wants continuation. These are opposing aspects and opposing needs. And the result of this? An internal conflict. So I see how the literalists drive themselves mad. They give all the power to the literal part. And the literal part demands all of the answers. Complete certainty. Final closure. A collapsed wave, to use quantum theory. The reality offers complexity, uncertainty, ongoing mystery, and superposition. It is a mismatch. So they force a premature closure, create this false sense of certainty, dogmatize to avoid anxiety, and fundamentalize to stop the questions. And it's not because people or any humans are stupid or anything like that. It's because the literal part is driving them mad with its demands. And closing the loop, even falsely, gives the relief. Relief is greater than accuracy for the anxious literal mind. Even though you've learned and thinking, your literal mind still wants to hijack. Some of the signs? Well, the mental signs are obsessive thinking, can't stop analyzing, must have an answer now, compulsive researching. Physical signs? Tension, anxiety, restlessness, and racing mind. Emotional, frustration, impatience, a fear of not knowing. So, what is happening? Well, the literal mind thinks, I need all of the answers to be safe. Without closure, I will drown in chaos. I must collapse the wave or I'm lost. It is fear based. It is a survival mechanism and it is trying to make the infinite finite. It's trying to make mystery manageable. The problem is, it cannot be done. But it keeps trying. Oh. And it literally can drive you, quote unquote, mad in the process. The literal mind needs feeding, not elimination, not dissolution, but appropriate feeding. So give it appropriate tasks, questions that have closure. These are simple daily tasks like doing your laundry or an email or an errand. Concrete problems that have logistics or scheduling. Factual questions, what time, what route. And bonded projects, specific and completable. So let it get its satisfaction here. Let it close those loops. Then it will calm down. And set boundaries around its domain. The literal mind handles concrete, factual, and bonded information. The literal mind does not handle existential questions, meaning questions, identity questions, or mystery. So basically, you want to train it that, well, that's not its job. That's for the metaphorical mind. That's for the rest will come from that. So give provisional closures. For now, this is enough. I know enough to move forward. This phase is complete. The next phase exists. A chapter closes, not a book closure. Satisfies the literal mind without false finality. And have compassion for the literal mind. It's scared. It thinks it needs to be safe. And it needs all of those answers to have that feeling. It doesn't, though, but gently show it that you can rest with these open questions and you can be safe with uncertainty and you don't need every loop closed. Practices that can quiet the literal mind? Well, meditation, of course. Observe without engaging. Breath work. Shifting to the body. Movement. Dancing, walking, yoga. Nature. There's no problems to solve. Creative expression. There's no right answer. The literal mind has no role here. It rests. Now, all three parts are needed. The literal mind, the functional mind, and the metaphorical mind. The literal mind is essential for daily function. It handles concrete extremely well. It gets satisfaction from completion. It is valuable in its domain. The functional mind understands processes, connects patterns, bridges other parts, and is essential for comprehension. The metaphorical mind explores meaning, reveals depth. It never finishes. It is essential for your growth. The problem is when the literal mind tries to do all of these jobs. The solution? Well, each part does its job. The literal works on the concrete tasks. It gets your closures, and you get rest from infinite. The functional mind, well, you understand the process, you connect and bridge. Metaphorical, well, it explore the meaning, it reveals, and it continues forever. It is always going. All three, well, if they are fed appropriately and they work in their domain and not hijacking each other, they can work well, and you can be, quote unquote, whole in all these different parts of your mind. So in the morning, certain exercises that you could do is today the literal mind handles a specific list. These will give you the closures, and then existential questions are not for you today. Right? During the day, when the literal mind demands answers to the unanswerable, well, that's not your job. That's for the metaphorical mind. You can focus on this concrete task. In the evening, the literal mind, well, here are your completions, your list, well done, now rest. And then the metaphorical questions can continue without you. The result, well, if you feed the literal mind, it gets fed, it gets appreciated, and it's calmed. The metaphorical mind has space to work and a freedom to continue in its work and functions. You have peace, integration, and all parts are working together. This is why thinking is hard. It's not because you don't understand it, but because your literal mind keeps demanding or. It demands closure. It demands answers. It demands that the wave collapse. Now you know that it's not you failing. It's your literal mind doing its job too broadly. Your work is to feed it appropriately. Give it closure in its proper domain. Let it rest from infinite questions. Then all three parts can do their work. The literal mind can handle the concrete, and it gets its satisfaction. The functional can do its bridging and connecting. The metaphorical, it can reveal and continue. Integrated and whole. This is the practice. This is the completion. 7 episodes, 7 gates. The stairway has been walked now. Now you know what or is, why it fails, how to escape the traps, how to read reality, who you are, how to live, and why it's hard, and how to work with that, because that literal mind. So think about this. Think about being complete, going and living it, feeding your literal mind appropriately, letting your metaphorical mind reveal, be whole, always. The literal part wants closure. It gives you one. The series is complete. 7 episodes, done. Your literal mind can rest from this quest. But the real work, query, reveal, continue. Forever. That is the metaphorical mind's domain. Let it be. Let source express its form. Through the 3-pattern process. Consciousness becomes matter. The word manifests as flesh. Be whole.